When I was doing research to put together 100 NES games I wanted to play for my challenge, one of the games that kept popping up was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. If you came here for this Chip 'n Dale's, I'm sorry, but this is not the video you're looking for. The characters Chip and Dale originally appeared in 23 animated shorts starting in 1943, but they wouldn't get their own series until 1989. Chip appears in the series with a leather jacket and a fedora, looking a lot like Indiana Jones. And Dale, he's got a Hawaiian t-shirt and he's looking a little bit like Magnum P.I. The TV series ran from 1989 to 1990, about 18 months in total, and in that time, they released a whopping 65 episodes of the animated series. I remember watching Chip 'n Dale a little bit as a kid, but my memory's a little bit hazy, so before I did this video, I ended up watching 3 episodes just to see what it was all about. And I just want to say, their high-pitched voices are absolutely terrible. I don't know how parents around the world put up with these squealing chipmunks in their living rooms. I mean, can you just imagine if this video, I did a high-pitched voice the entire time?
And how annoying that would be?
I will admit though, Chip and Dale are pretty cute little guys, and the animation style is so nostalgic. That leads us into the game. Game number 9 in the challenge is Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers for the NES. This was released in 1990 and developed and published by Capcom. Also in 1990, NASA launches the Hubble Space Telescope, a space telescope that was launched into low Earth orbit and remains in operation today. My favorite picture from this telescope is the Hubble Deep Field image. In this picture, every speck you see is a galaxy, but I digress. I could go on for a much bigger tangent here, but let's get back to the game. Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers features single-player and 2-player cooperative modes. It's a platforming game. So with that, let's get into the story of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. The Rescue Rangers have been assembled once again to help a friend in need. Their neighbor Mandy has lost her kitten, and she doesn't know where to begin looking. There's been some unusual sightings in town of mechanical bulldogs and robotic rats. Could the Rescue Rangers' enemy Fat Cat be up to his old tricks again? Chip 'n Dale's friends are Gadget. He scouts ahead, leaves inventions and clues to help the Rescue Rangers, as well as Monterey Jack. Monty, he helps Chip 'n Dale find secret doors and pathways. And finally, we have Zipper. When Zipper flies ahead, no harm will come to the Rescue Rangers. Let's get into my playthrough. At the title screen, I can choose either Chip or Dale. It doesn't matter, they both play the exact same. I end up starting out with Chip though, because I really like his hat. I start down on a city street and there's several boxes I can pick up as well as flowers I can collect. There's also stars I can collect. With the flowers, every 50 flowers you collect, a star will appear. For every 10 stars you collect, a 1-up star can appear. You can also pick up acorns and they will replenish my health. My first death is to this cactus, which I hit 3 times in a row, just trying to see how painful it actually was. Picking up this apple is quite a bit heavier than the boxes. Our little chipmunk guy starts to sweat. It's kind of cute. All the way to the right here, there's a power pole I can climb up, and I can get to the next area in this level. Early on here, it feels like this game is pretty basic platforming, picking up and throwing objects, taking out enemies. At the top of this power pole, we're on a power line. I destroy this special box here and inside is Zipper. Zipper zooms ahead and takes out enemies in front of us. As long as Zipper is active, no harm will come to us. That's a pretty neat little invincibility. There's also exposed parts of the wire here and touching the spark on them will do damage to me. But as long as I avoid it, there won't be any issues. Very quickly, I get a game over and I have to use my first continue. Continues in this game work like this. If you lose all of your lives, you will have to restart from the beginning of the level. You'll get 3 continues throughout the game, not including any 1-ups that you might gather along the way. All the way to the left here is another power pole I can continue to climb up. I try and grab this flower, but I fall to my death. At the top of this power pole, I continue along some wires up here. These rats move a little bit faster than the dogs, so I have to get used to their speed, and it takes a second. Heading to the right here and on this upper wire, we see our first appearance of this little bee guy called Buzzer. He takes me out immediately. I managed to pick up my first 1-up here as well. This next time I take this Buzzer out, and we're past the wires. I've got a little building here to go into, and it appears now I'm in some sort of lab. Entering into this building is the first checkpoint I received. In order to get past this jump here, I have to stack up these bricks in order to get a little bit of extra height to jump over. The level design so far is pretty simple, but it does what it needs to do. Entering into this broken fence here, we see a piece of cheese in a box, and out comes Monty. He barrels through and breaks a hole in this fence. Now we have our first boss fight. This death here is my first full reset, unfortunately, so I'm all the way back to the beginning. Getting back to this boss looks like the terrible arts and crafts I would bring home in kindergarten. I really hope you save this masterpiece, Mom and Dad. There's a ball in the middle. I think I might be able to just pick it up and throw it, and hit the green globe on his head. I die a few times before getting back to this boss. I gotta pick this ball up, avoid the projectiles, and throw the ball at his head. I do die again here, but luckily I've got some extra lives, and I can continue to just throw the ball while I dodge projectiles. I actually clear the level. When you clear the level, you get this random bit where you can go pick up boxes. However, I didn't realize at this point yet. Fat Cat comes and chimes in. He says, "Haha, I tricked you, Rescue Rangers. The kitten is just a clever trap to lure you here. I've already caught your precious gadget. From now on, she's inventing things for me. You'll have to take her from my casino if you really want her back." You'll see here there's an overworld map, and I can choose which direction I can go. So, I've chosen A. This level has us up in a tree. We've got a new enemy here with these little caterpillars. I gotta work my way up the tree and avoid these caterpillars. Here we have our first appearance of the flying squirrel, who will swoop in from the left and to the right just to try and take me out. It's a pretty frantic section here, and unfortunately I do die. Getting back and continuing to work my way up through this maze of caterpillars and flying squirrels, I start paying more attention and throwing these boxes up at the caterpillars to take them out before I get there. At the top, I can head into this little hole in the tree, and waiting for me inside is another boss. It looks like this time I'm fighting an owl, and it's a similar strategy to before. I've got a ball to grab, and I've got to pick it up and throw it at him. It's a little bit harder to throw the ball up at the owl though, because he's dropping feathers on top of me. So I do start throwing the ball at the side when he swoops down, and this seems like a pretty good strategy. But I do die. Luckily, I can get right back into the fight. If I get hit by the ball myself, it doesn't appear to do any damage to me, but I do get stunned, so it leaves me in a vulnerable state. Several hits later, I take out the owl, and that's Zone A clear. After this level, I realize I can actually pick up these boxes and grab a few extra items along the way. Gadget calls us and says, "Hey guys, don't worry, I'm okay so far. I've rigged up this wireless phone when Fat Cat wasn't looking, and I sent a carrier pigeon with a map that shows how to find me. Listen carefully. You'll need to shut off some water pipes to get through Zone B. Just jump on the taps. Zipper is waiting to lend a hand in Zone C." We're on to Zone C now, and it looks like we're next to a bookshelf. We have a new enemy here, and it's a Racket-Roo. These guys will use their tennis rackets to hit balls at us. At the edge here, I have to work my way up the bookshelf and continue moving on. I do end up dying here and having a full reset. And I decide on my next playthrough, instead of going down to A, I'm gonna head straight to B. B looks like it's a bar with stools and glasses. At the bottom of this door, there's a little hole I can get into. Hopper Mouse is here shooting poison or something at me. Here's the water Gadget was mentioning that I needed to shut off. By jumping on top of these faucets, I can spin these closed and shut the water off. Moving on, it looks like we're headed towards the kitchen. These little guys flying by here are called buzz bombs. These green guys are called dits, and they can actually turn into Chip or Dale. I'm not sure what the benefit of that is, however. Inside this hole in the wall, we have yet another boss fight. This is a spaceship, and he's dropping a couple aliens at a time. It's not long, and I die. So with this spaceship, it moves down horizontally throughout the level, and I can throw the ball up at it, or if it comes down to my level, I can throw the ball horizontally at it. Dodging these aliens he drops in is actually relatively challenging. I do have a couple of resets while fighting this boss, but on my third attempt, I do take him out. And Zone B has been cleared. Gadget calls again and says, "Careful guys, I just saw Fat Cat send some tough looking characters to Zone D. Also, watch out for falling iron balls. Throw something at the switches to stop them." So I can skip A and C and go straight to D. D looks like we're in a toy store. We've got these teddy bear looking guys in these boxes. We also have springing boxes now. I come across another new enemy here with these Jack in the Box characters. I can just throw a box at their heads and take them out. Another new enemy here is this guy with these two big balls on the end of his arms. And throwing a box at him will cause him to spin. If you don't make him spin, he can shift left and right and come down and hit you. But by throwing a box at him and making him spin, he can't hit you. And here it looks like this rabbit is just pulling the rug, and when he pulls the rug, he makes these little waves that can make me take damage. I also come across this rooster guy running at me. These are all these switches Gadget was talking about. Turning them off will stop these balls from falling. On to the next room, I'm seeing a bit more of the same. I jump and I fall to my death. These purple things are like books that are falling, I guess. I have to try and avoid these. This section is just mostly avoiding these spring boxes until I find this other hole in the wall, and here we have our third boss fight. This looks like some sort of mechanical tank guy, and I have yet another ball here to throw. It looks like maybe every single boss in the game will have a ball involved. So the tank guy travels forwards and backwards, as well as dropping several smaller balls from above. There are gaps in the small balls that I can try and get into to avoid being hit. I just actually have to be good enough to avoid them. I do get back here with Dale, and I'm trying to figure out where these gaps are, as well as throwing the ball at him and giving myself a chance to pick it up and keep throwing. Several hits later, he goes down and Zone D is clear. Gadget calls us again and says she's left us a boat to get across the water at Zone E. We can just go to Zone F and then G. That seems like it might be a quicker way. But, you know, on second thought, when rewatching this, maybe I was wrong about that. So in Zone F, we have these balls falling from the top, and it looks like I'm in a factory. We also have balls rolling down these platforms I need to avoid. But the real tricky part in this zone is this vertical platforming climbing section where all these platforms are coming out and receding back into the wall. Luckily here, I actually make it in a pretty quick manner first try, but in some of my future playthroughs, I don't get so lucky and I actually die several times here. At the very top, I go through this hole and that's Zone F clear. I make it to the casino. We're in Zone G. We've got slot machines. We've got these really cool fedora-wearing lizard dudes. These guys are called Wart. If you get too close to them, they can actually throw their hat at you. And then we also have these rhino runners, looking like football players running towards you. There's also some sort of pincer insect guy, but he's not mentioned in the manual. Getting to the edge of this level, we have a couple of bombs up here that don't seem to play any sort of part other than the fact that I need to get them out of the way. Entering through this hole, it looks like we get to the top of the casino. It looks like these are fluorescent light fixtures to me. More platforming and dodging enemies here. Entering into this next hole at the end here, we have a boss fight. This boss is a small cat throwing coins from a slot machine. I just have to position myself almost right below him, and he goes down without much of a fight. After clearing Zone G, Gadget is waiting for us and she says, "Thanks guys, I knew you could do it. Fat Cat just ran off, but you can chase him with my rocket." So we jump in Gadget's rocket and we take to the skies and we come right back down and it looks like potentially we're just on the other side of the river and now we're in Zone H. The next zone puts us in the sewer. And there's these little crab enemies now who are shooting out little bits of water that do damage to me. And I just have to avoid them, make my way along. The platforming gets a little bit trickier, a little bit more challenging in this level compared to some of the earlier levels. In this vertical section, there's flying squirrels that come at you just to make the platforming just a little bit more difficult. I do lose several lives as some of these squirrels are timing themselves pretty well with my jumps, and I need to throw boxes or avoid them. There are some familiar faces here and some basic platforming on my way to this hole in the wall. That is the end of Zone H. Gadget radios in again and she says, "I'm going back to the headquarters, so don't worry about me. Watch out for the fans in Zone I. They could blow you away." The start of this next level has some cups all stacked up. If you notice, there's these little eyes in some of the cups, and a little beetle will pop out at a random time. I also have these pelican guys who, if you throw a box at their mouth, they'll just throw it back at you. But if you duck down and throw the box at their legs, you'll be able to take them out. Here we see the fans Gadget was talking about before. They're pushing me back. The fans just make it a little bit more annoying, I guess. Through this hole, we have a box with cheese, and Monterey Jack comes flying across the screen and busts a hole into the next section. It looks like we're up on some desks with some telephones and drawers. There's also these little buzzers at the end of this level that start dropping down just to complicate things a little bit. On to another boss fight. And this looks like a caterpillar here. It's the same strategy of most of the other fights, and I just have to throw the ball up at him. The biggest difference here is sometimes when you hit him, he'll disassemble and fall apart, scattering his body parts across the floor, and I'll take damage if I get hit. You gotta find the gaps when he falls apart. I do eventually take him out, and that's Zone I cleared. Gadget says, "You've reached Fat Cat's home base. Now, go get him, Rescue Rangers." Zone J, the final zone in the game, and this is the most challenging zone in the game. I'm back in another factory and the platforming on some of these conveyor belts can be a little tricky. I do get a game over here, but I have to continue to keep going. I make it through this hole in the wall and continue through the factory. We've got a new enemy here again with some sort of dog in a fedora, and it looks like he's shooting black plungers at me. Then I get to this part. This axe swinging back and forth. There's a few of them here, and it takes me a few tries to figure out the best way to get over these axes. Unfortunately, there's not a way to stop them, you just have to use good timing and jump across. I die several times at these axes, but I eventually make my way through. Just past here, hat-throwing lizards. Heading up to the right here, there are switches that control these axes that are smashing up and down. There's several switches, I have a final dash with several enemies, and I'm just picking up boxes and chucking them every chance I get. This door here leads to the final boss, Fat Cat. Fat Cat is sitting at his desk, and wouldn't you know it, I have to throw a red ball at him. I die here right away from the ash he's flicking off his cigar. I die again, and using a continue sends me all the way back to the beginning of the level. Unfortunately, I don't make it back as I die several times and have a full reset. We'll meet again, Fat Cat. My next attempt at Fat Cat doesn't go much better, but on my third attempt, I try running to the edges of the screen while throwing the ball. This seems to be working a little bit better. I do take some hits, but I'm able to dodge enough to put an end to Fat Cat's evil ways. The end scene has the whole gang here, and they say, I guess that'll teach Fat Cat not to mess with the Rescue Rangers. Golly, I don't know, something tells me he'll be back. If he steps out of line again, we'll be ready to put him right back in his place. Right, gang? Right. Yes, sirree. There's no stopping the Rescue Rangers. And that's the end of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Let's get into the pros and cons. My first pro is that this is a licensed game that does everything really well. This is not a simple cash grab, and it's pretty faithful to its source material. My next pro is that the game is incredibly accessible. It's a simple game that can be picked up by just about anyone. If you're new to NES games, or maybe you're looking to get your kids into some retro games, this is a great place to start. My final pro is, this game is just good across the board. It's not innovating with anything, but it also doesn't do anything poorly. The gameplay, the music, the controls, it's all well done. I saved the cons for last this time because I'm having a hard time thinking of any. This game just doesn't fail at anything worth noting. I guess if I'm really hard pressed to come up with anything negative about the game, it's that it's just a little bit short. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers achieves exactly what it sets out to do. It's an accessible platformer that's great for new gamers, and it's easy to see why the game was so highly recommended when I was doing research. I highly recommend Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and I give it an 8 out of 10. As far as difficulty goes, I give it a 3 out of 10. This isn't a particularly difficult game. A little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and I think this game is achievable for just about anybody. And now that Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers is done, I did a random draw to pick the next game. The next game in the challenge is Final Fantasy II. So if you want to see that, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Feel free to check out my first Final Fantasy video if you haven't seen it yet. I appreciate all your support, and I will see you in the next video.